Introduction: the relationship between Japan and cherry blossoms. When you think of Japan's national flower, what comes to mind? For most people, the answer is Sakura, cherry blossoms. Every spring, they bloom across the entire country almost simultaneously, and then fall all at once within a very short period. This is not just a seasonal change. In Japan, the blooming of Sakura coincides with major life milestones, such as entering school, graduation, starting a new job. Because of this, Sakura has become a symbol of new beginnings for society as a whole. So why are cherry blossoms so special in Japan? What Sakura really is. Most of the cherry blossoms seen in Japan are a variety called Somei Yoshino. The defining feature of this tree is that almost all of them are genetic clones. Normally, plants are grown from seeds, which means each individual has slightly different characteristics. However, Somei Yoshino does not reproduce through seeds. Instead, it is propagated using a technique called grafting. Grafting is a method where a branch from one tree is cut and attached to the trunk or roots of another tree, allowing it to grow as a new plant. As a result, the new tree carries exactly the same genetic information as the original tree the branch came from. This process has been repeated over time, spreading genetically identical trees across Japan. In other words, most Somei Yoshino trees in Japan are believed to originate from the same original tree and have been reproduced through grafting. Because they share the same genetic traits, they respond to environmental conditions in the same way. During winter, cherry trees enter a dormant state. After experiencing a certain amount of cold, they prepare to bloom. Then, when temperatures rise in spring, flowering begins almost simultaneously. This is why cherry blossoms tend to bloom at nearly the same time within each region. In Japan, the movement of blooming dates is tracked as the cherry blossom front, which progresses northward each year from warmer southern regions. As a result, cherry blossoms not only bloom simultaneously, but also spread across the country like a relay. In addition, cherry trees in Japan are often planted along riverbanks. This is not just for aesthetics. Riverbanks are public land, making them suitable for large-scale planting. They can help stabilize soil as part of flood management. They are easily accessible from urban areas. In other words, cherry blossoms are not just natural elements. They are also part of urban planning. Why Sakura is so popular. The appeal of cherry blossoms is not just their short lifespan. It is true that their beauty is tied to how quickly they bloom and fall. However, their significance comes from multiple factors: the overwhelming visual impact of mass simultaneous blooming, the consistency of returning at nearly the same time every year, their alignment with key moments in people's lives. This makes Sakura something unique. It is a natural phenomenon that synchronizes with society. History of Sakura. The cultural importance of cherry blossoms dates back to the Heian period. At that time, they were appreciated mainly by the aristocracy, who would view them and compose poetry. However, during the Edo period, cherry blossoms became part of everyday life. The government encouraged planting cherry trees across various regions, creating spaces where people could gather. As planting spread nationwide, Sakura became deeply rooted in popular culture. This is how modern hanami, flower viewing, began. In other words, cherry blossoms are not only natural, but also a cultural phenomenon shaped by society and policy. Meaning in modern Japan. In modern Japan, cherry blossoms are more than just seasonal flowers. One key factor is the timing of the academic and fiscal year. In Japan, both schools and companies start in April, a system that is relatively uncommon globally, as many countries begin in September or January. This timing overlaps with the blooming of cherry blossoms. As a result, Sakura is strongly associated with new beginnings, new environments, major life transitions. In this sense, cherry blossoms function as a symbol tied to the rhythm of society itself. Conclusion. Cherry blossoms are not just flowers. They represent simultaneous blooming enabled by cloning, intentional placement within urban design, a culture shaped over centuries, synchronization with key moments in society. All of these layers overlap. That is why Sakura is not simply a plant, but a symbol where nature, culture, and society intersect. and why it continues to represent Japan today.
Thanks for watching. Subscribe to Deep Focus Japan for more videos on Japanese society and current issues.